Hi, Aries Sun and Rising. Welcome to your August 2023 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So, August is a little quieter in terms of the number of major transits. There are still some significant things going on, but just in comparison with my list that I compiled last month and the few months prior to that, I can see the difference. And it's really unusual because the first two major transits I'm going to talk about are the full moon on the first of the month and then uh, the new moon on the 16th. And so we're talking about 2 weeks apart. And usually there are some other transits in between that I would bring up. The other thing, too, there is a blue moon that's occurring at the end of the month. So that's one of those significant transits. So on the 1st, we have a full moon at 9 degrees of Aquarius. And Aquarius for Aries people is your 11th house. As a matter of fact, all of these transits are occurring in the houses that they represent because you are the template of the universal chart. So anyway, so it really goes along with the theme of that house. And the theme of Aquarius and the 11th house is about community. And it is about the collective versus the individual. A full moon in the 11th house can bring your participation in a group to a close, Aries, or if you have a friendship that might be ending, or you simply, maybe you haven't heard from a friend and you hear news about that person. A full moon can bring awareness, so it might be that that's going on. Also, the 11th house is the house of gains, so it is connected to a person's financial, their profit, and this could indicate, because the full moons are fertile, that you are experiencing some kind of increase in your profits. So there could be a positive money angle with this moon. On the 16th, we have a new moon at 23 degrees Leo. Leo is the opposite sign of Aquarius. And so this is happening in the 5th house, which is the house of love and creativity. So some Aries people, you might meet someone that you really are into. And whether or not it translates to a love of your life type of situation or what have you, there could be new developments here also with creative projects. The 5th house can be the business that you own. So if you have been planning to launch your business around this time, that would be indicated. And of course, this is fellow fire energy, so it forms a trine. And that is a very cooperative angle. On the 23rd, we have the sun, and the sun is going into Virgo and Mercury is going retrograde. So like I said, you're the template for the universal chart. So Virgo is the 6th house, and the sun going in here means getting down to brass tacks, getting your life more organized. The 6th house can be health, but it can be your daily routine. Like Aries is very spontaneous, so if you work for yourself, you may just love one perk of working for yourself where you can do what you want when you want to do it. However, it can sometimes lead people to spinning their wheels because they're not planning ahead and they're just kind of living in the moment, and they can fritter away time that they wanted to use for something else if they had been more intentional about it. So streamlining one's life could be part of the 6th house. And Mercury retrograde here, because this can be the workplace. This can be any kind of um, negotiations, or sometimes maybe what we would call misunderstandings. And this is, Mercury is very quick moving, so this is all going to be resolved by the middle of September, but there's time before and after that is still part of that whole period. Also, Mercury retrograde can be like maybe you hear back from some employer that you applied to a year ago or something, and all of a sudden you hear back from them. And I remember when I started my business, this is what I'm doing right now, and I could not, a lot of times I couldn't get anybody to respond to me when I would apply for jobs or send resumes, what have you. And right after I started my business, and probably after I started getting clients, I would imagine, because it didn't happen right off the bat, but I got this, I know I wouldn't call it a job offer, but it was like, hey, we're interested. Would you like to be a tutor? Because I was looking in the field of education, and I'm like, oh, okay, now you're doing this. When I was actually looking, I could barely get anybody to respond, but now you're doing this, and that's kind of how it works. So you may hear from an employer, maybe this is somebody from the past. That's always a possibility too with Mercury retrograde. Or anybody, like maybe since it's in the 6th house, maybe an old coworker. Of course, any kind of salary negotiations or anything like that could be part of a review or rethinking. On the 28th, Uranus goes retrograde. So these are some of the things that I think are pretty significant. 23 degrees of Taurus in that 2nd house of earned income. So let's just talk briefly about how has Uranus in the 2nd house affected the sign of Aries, sun or rising. And, sometimes when it's direct, it could mean that it's kind of, I was going to say feast or famine, but it doesn't. I just mean that it might be erratic, which suggests that a lot of you might be working for yourself at this time. Certainly, working for oneself is definitely indicated for Aries people in general, because you're a cardinal sign, you're a fire sign. It just doesn't seem to work when the person is in a subordinate position. But of course, it doesn't really matter, because ultimately we are all working for others when we are doing our thing. Nobody can just do whatever they feel like if they're in that type of, even somebody that owns their own business, they're still having to work for the person that is their client. Uranus can give a desire for freedom, a desire to break out of that paradigm, so in the 2nd house, it's like that weekly paycheck or that paycheck every 2 weeks. It might go along with a 9-to-5 job and being on the hamster wheel. And some people are just like, I can't do this anymore. I mean, I just physically don't have it in me to do this type of job. And it also can be like, wanting freedom from being in an office. And because of the shutdown, a lot of people did work from home, and then their boss said, hey, now you got to come back into the office, after they had been so used to working in their PJs or what have you. Uranus can be technology, so it can be working on the internet, working with, remotely. And, but when Uranus is retrograding, like I said before, it can be having your own business. So you're not getting that weekly paycheck. You're getting paychecks when, people pay you. And it can also be work that's a little bit off the beaten path, including anything intuitive like Reiki healing. Uranus can be the not the immune system, the nervous system. So anything that helps to self-regulate the immune, I just said it again, the nervous system is something that this sign may, uh, be attracted to. When Uranus is retrograding, it gets even more chaotic and random and that sort of thing. So it is important to realize that you're probably dealing with conflicting reports in terms of what is possible for your business, what has been possible. And so you have to, I do see Aries, though, as a sign that can accept things not being uniform. And, there could be this sense of wanting to break out of a cookie cutter type of job, for instance, make money in a way that is freedom. So the internet, which Uranus can be connected to, is probably the perfect way to do that. And on the 30th, we have a full moon in Pisces. They don't call it this is it's a blue moon, but it's also a super moon. So it's supposed to be, actually, the one at the beginning of the month is also a super moon. So basically, they're supposed to be more powerful and we feel things more strongly. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, so the 12th house, a full moon here, and you also have Neptune, which rules the 12th house. You have Neptune revisiting that area of life. And so it's very psychic, very spiritual. It's a great way to end the month, Aries, because it will probably make you meditate or just let go of any concerns you have, knowing that you're divinely protected. I think that's a fair assessment of the 12th house as well. But anyway, yeah, it seems like it's a pretty mellow month for you in a lot of ways, and I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.